Hi everybody, it is Julie. Welcome back to Pages and Pens. Today I am here with my May reading wrap-up. Let's jump into it. So today you guys are up on a tripod because I'm filming, and I wanted to start my May vlog because last month in April it was a skosh of a hot mess and footage got deleted and I didn't want to have to deal with that this time around, so I'm just putting you up here to start off with what I'm reading in May. It is the 6th of May today. It's just a whole lot of rhyming going on in here. And I have finished 3 things, almost on a 4th. Hopefully I'll be done that soon, but we'll get into that later. First up, I finished up Origin, which is the last of the bind up in this Luxe Consequences. I've been listening to the audiobooks. I think I talked about this in my April wrap up, but I'm going to be unhauling this set of bind ups just because the audiobooks are always available to me. I'm actually really enjoying them. I finished them now at this point. They're not fantastic. They're perfectly good. They're fine for what they are, which is alien invasion, supernatural, paranormal, romance. They're really quick audiobooks, really easy audiobooks to listen to. I don't love the stories. I can appreciate them for what they were when they were released. I'm glad I read them. They were fun, but it's not something that I'm going to be like fangirl over, need to keep on my shelves. So these are going to go. But I did finish that, and then I also finished listening to Luxe Opposition, which is the last of the series. I don't know why, but I thought that this one was Damon's POV and like kind of went over this, but it's not. This is like the actual conclusion. This is a collector's edition that has in the back here a prequel novella that's actually relatively long. I don't care enough to physically read it. The audiobooks have been great. So this is going to go too, but they were both 3-star reads. They're perfectly fine. They're not great. They're not horrible. I also finished The Bride Test by Helen Huang. This one comes out on the 7th, so tomorrow, and I read it just in time, and I did get my review up on Goodreads. This one was sent to me by Berkeley, and I am so glad that they did. I really enjoyed it. You guys know I loved the Kiss Quotient. And The Bride Test follows Kai, who is a cousin of Michael's, and you get some cameos for Michael and Stella in this book. You also get the rest of his family that we see through Michael's POV in the Kiss Quotient. You see them in this as well. So Kai has autism, and Esme, or Mai, she changes her name when she comes to America. Esme is Vietnamese. Kai's mother has gone over there to hand select a woman to come over and marry Kai because he is just not relationship driven, but they know that he should have a wife to take care of him. Esme comes to America and has to seduce and or convince Kai to marry her because he doesn't want to. I gave this 4 stars. I really enjoyed it, and here's where I struggle because there is a Vietnamese culture in this that I completely appreciate, and the author's note does say that she didn't want to westernize Esme. She wanted her to still be ignorant to certain things and just not know about American culture or American slang. Esme doesn't speak English when she comes here. She's not educated when she comes here. That I completely understand, completely respect, and really liked the character arc of Esme dealing with all of those things. What bothered me was that you have Esme who comes over to America, moves directly into Kai's house, and has to try to seduce him in order to attain money and financial security in life in general. And Esme's over here with different motives. She's here because her family in Vietnam needs her help. There's a lot that's going on here, but what really bothered me is that she hid the fact that she had a daughter back home until she could try to get him to fall for her, and then she thought that he would just accept the fact that she had a daughter back at home. That felt icky to me the entire time because she's emotionally distraught at being away from her mother and her daughter, and that's never addressed or handled within the relationship that she's forming with Kai. I know culturally that's something that they probably had to do or still do with arranged marriages, or when they come over to the United States, they leave family behind, they leave children behind until things are secure here, and I understand that, and I'm trying not to be insensitive to that because I know that culturally the way that things are handled for them is different the way things are handled for me. That's not something I have to deal with, but I do feel like there could have been open communication about that, and there never was. It just felt like one of the things that shouldn't have been used as a miscommunication or like a secret thing in this storyline. Obviously, this also creates a really large power dynamic. Esme doesn't know anybody here. She has no family, no friends. Her business, like she gets a job working for Kai's mom. So everything here that she has for the beginning part of this storyline is all based around him and his family and her fulfilling this duty of making him fall for her, which is a very skewed power dynamic. And even though everything that happens within their relationship happens because she wants it to, the basis for it is very unbalanced. Plus the fact that the end of this, it goes from like this slow progression of the relationship, which I say slow, but it all happens in like 2 months, to like a full-blown sprint at the end of this book. So you really go from like slow building, getting to know them, her trying to acclimate to American life, to like, bam, the end of this book, everything wraps up really neatly in like the last 30-40 pages, which bothers me because I feel like the build-up deserved more in terms of explaining resolution and diving into resolution and conversations that take place between characters, and none of that actually happened. I will also say that Kai does tell Esme at one point that he is autistic, and she has access to smartphones, internet, all these other things, but she never really looks into it, finds out what that means. She never asks questions of his family or him to find out more about what it means and how that might affect him in different ways, in terms of building relationships or expressing emotions. She never looks into any of that, and she's a smart woman. There's other storylines in here that I'm not going to spoil the book, but there's other storylines in here that do point to the fact that she's a very smart woman who has access to information, and she doesn't take it upon herself to figure that out for herself, which felt wrong to me as well. So not perfection, but so good. 4 stars, like a strong 4 stars. You guys know I loved the kiss quotient. I love Helen Huang. I love the way she writes her characters. I think that this was beautifully done in terms of smexy time and angst and sexual tension, and there's conversations that regard sex in this that I really, really loved. Thoroughly enjoyed this story. It just was not a 5-star read for me, and the things that kind of didn't work for me really didn't work for me, but not at a point that took away me recommending this book or me really enjoying this book. I cannot wait for Kwan's POV book, because like bulging muscles and tattoos and like playboy lifestyle, I like everything about that man, and I'm here for it. I can't wait to see where she goes with his storyline. Those were the 3 stories that I have finished so far this month in May. I am also finishing up Sorcery of Thorns right now. I am nearly done. This one had a May release date, but the release date for this has changed to June 4th. I was unaware of that because the copy on the book definitely says that it's May. Thank you for pointing that out to me in my TBR for this month. You guys said that on Goodreads it's listed as June 4th, and I hadn't realized that because I was going by the copy on the book. I didn't realize it had been pushed back. So I'm reading this a tiny bit earlier than I thought. So that's my update for May so far, and I'll check in with you guys the next time I have a reading update. Bye. I'm here to tell you that I finished a book today on Hoopla whilst I was doing this face of makeup, and it was Ever True, this last one of the Everneath series. So I did Everneath, Everbound, Ever True. Whoops. I finished all 3 of them. They were all 3-star reads. They were perfectly fine. Nothing fantastic, but I really did enjoy them. I will be unhauling them just because, like I said before, I don't think I'm ever going to reread them, and they're always there on Hoopla. But like, if you're looking for a Hades and Persephone's retelling and ancient ever-living beings, they're pretty cool. Like, they held up pretty decent. They're an older series, but I actually ended up really enjoying it. So I'm about to film 2 videos before I head off for a night of fun with my goddaughter's birthday party, and then a whole lot of adult drinks and an Uber ride home. So I'm gonna go do that. But that's my update for reading for right now. Relatively certain that I have already updated you on a couple of things, but I'm going to just cover them really quickly just in case I didn't. So I did finish The Birds, the Bees, You and Me by Olivia Heinembaum, and I believe I gave this 4 stars. It was really, really good. Definitely read more like straight up sex ed, but I think it's really important. I definitely think I did talk about that one. And then we had Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson, which I loved. I'm finding that I really, really like her writing style. It was not a 5-star read. It was like a strong 4, but I really loved this. Like, magical libraries and demonic, like, monstrous grimoires and actual demons, and I loved the characters. I love Elizabeth as a main character. Really, really fell for Silas, and I think that people are gonna really like this one. At least I hope you do. It was really interesting, and I thought it was like a really unique, fresh fantasy. Like, it didn't feel recycled. It felt really, really new and really cool, and I really, really loved it. So if you're interested in this one, it will be in June's Fantasy Monthly book box. You guys can get 10% off. Links are down below. You will be getting a hardback and 2 bookmarks and an art print, and all that comes for $16.99, and then you get 10% off of that price. Amazing. Really, really loved it. I finished Girls on the Verge by, oh gosh, Sharon Biggs Waller. It's really difficult to read on this part of it. Sharon Biggs Waller. This is really short, but I did tab it up. This follows Camille, our main character, and Annabelle, and Beatrice, and it follows these friends as they try to help Camille obtain an abortion. She's pregnant, she does not want this child, and she's in Texas, and Texas law says that she cannot get an abortion. I was so angry throughout this book. Now, I didn't love this as much as I thought I was going to. I think I 4-starred it. I thought the way everybody was talking about it that I was going to, like, love it. I didn't love all the characters. I didn't love all of the plot progression at times, but the information that is gained in this, the author's note, and the main point and purpose of this book, shame that goes into teenage parenthoods, the shame that goes into teenage pregnancies, wanting to end teenage pregnancies, things that you have to go through just to be in control of your own body. It felt really poignant and really time sensitive and really time appropriate for everything that's going on right now in America with women's rights and abortion laws. As the author said, these laws are always changing, and they're not always changing in our favor. And so she wrote this as accurately as she could for the time that she wrote it, but they literally are always changing. Maddening to see what had to happen just to obtain birth control, a pregnancy test, an abortion, actual facts, the amount of, like, religious shaming and bullshit that this girl had to go through. It was really heartbreaking. Really, really heartbreaking. It's so unbelievable that a woman's body is so not her own. It's absolutely unfathomable to me that that is something that's allowed to happen to women. But the friendships and some of the other plots and some of the other storyline I didn't love as much. So it was a 4-star read. I did still really, really enjoy it, and I'm really glad that I got to it. And then I just finished Book Boyfriend. Book Boyfriend is by Claire Kingsley, and this one was a sexy time romance about Alex, who is actually authoring romance novels under a female pen name, and Mia, who is a book blogger who reviews these romance novels. And they have a meet cute and fall in love, but neither one reveals to the other that they have. It's a thing. It's a big story. The plot of this was actually really, really cute, and then the sexy time was real good. This is book 1 of the Book Boyfriend series, and I did, like, bookmark the rest of the series. I really like the audio. I will probably save those for Smuttathon, which I will be taking part in. That was a solid 3-star smutty read. I DNF Dreamland, which I think I already talked about. I'm here to let you know that I have finished reading This Is Our Story by Ashley Elston. This is a physical book, obviously, that I own, but I did listen to the audiobook because it was available on Hoopla, as well as Into the Lying Woods or something. There's another book by her that's also on there, but I ran out of my Hoopla credits for this month because I've been reading a lot of audiobooks. So this one was really good. I gave it 4 stars, may have been more of a 3. It might be like a 3.5. Here's the thing. I really liked the vibe of it, but I called a lot of the plot twists, which is, like, unheard of for me because I don't typically do that at all. That kind of detracted a little bit from the story just because for me, I don't read thrillers, so if I can guess it, that's kind of like off-putting because I don't read a ton, but I did really enjoy it. I'm glad I finally got to this, and it will totally stay on my shelf. I'm very happy that I finally got around to this one. Basically, in this story, we'll follow Kate, and Kate is working at a court office. She's working with a lawyer, helping out. Her mother also works there, and essentially these 5 boys, I believe, go out into the woods and they go hunting after a night of drinking and doing drugs and partying, and one of the boys is shot. If we don't say anything, they can't charge any of us. And then Kate has been involved with one of the boys, and then things get messy with the trial, and they're trying to figure out what happened out there. A lot of entitled white boy privilege, our daddies know their daddies and we should just kind of hush this all up kind of stuff goes down. I enjoyed it enough to give it 4 stars, probably more of like a strong 3.5, but not bad at all. I am excited to read more from her. I am here with what will be the end of my reading for May. Why? Because today is May 25th. Do I have a ton more days? Yes. Will Amber be here in a couple hours? Also yes. Will I then be going to BEA and BookCon? Also yes. I don't think I'm going to read anything else. I believe if I start anything, it's going to be Gideon the Ninth, because I would like to read it before I meet Tamsin at BookCon and BEA. Probably be bringing at least that book because I'd like to also get it signed while I'm there. And I finished 2 more books. I finished An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green and Kingsbane by Claire Legrand. Let's go into these 2 books and then we'll go into some stats. An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green was one that was not on my radar. I did not think I was going to like it because I don't like John Green's writing that much. Hank Green? There's something about him, man. This one I actually listened to an audiobook, but I followed along in the book so that I could annotate it because this is a traveling book for my Patreon perk. So one of my Patreons got to pick a book. They pick this book, I read it, I annotate it, and then I send it out to others, and then it goes to Ashley. Ashley gets to keep it on her shelves. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I gave it 4 stars as opposed to 5. It's really good. I like the social media references. I really like some of like the pop culture references that take place in here. The songs that Hank Green chose to use, I really loved. This one is essentially about a girl who is walking through New York, sees this big giant sculpture, and has her friend come out to film a video because she thinks it's an art installation. Turns out 'tis an alien life form, and she was one of the first people to break the news that this happened on YouTube. Becomes a YouTube sensation, becomes a social media sensation, does a whole bunch of interviews and different networks. It was really cool. It was absolutely what everybody says it is, which is like a Sleeping Giants meets social media type of a situation. It was a weird look at fame, a weird look at like social media fame. It was really well done. It was really great. There is a lot of diversity in this. We do have a female bisexual main character. Is she bi? She might be pan. She definitely dates boys and girls, and she says she doesn't know what it's like to like somebody based on gender alone, so I'm assuming she's probably pan. The great thing about this is that Hank does say in the back that he wrote about people and situations and experiences that were not his own. Main love interests in this book, Maya, is a woman of color, and she describes what her struggle is as a woman of color in America, and obviously Hank Green is a white man. So he does say that he used different readers and different people to help him with these experiences. It was really well done. Really glad that Ashley picked this so that I could pick it up and read it. 4.25. My basic issues were that the main character, she was so opposed to relationships and connections to people and love and commitment, and I don't understand why. Because you get a little bit of her backstory, you meet her parents, you see her family life, and there's just no basis for that kind of like fear about relationships and actually caring for people. And she seems pretty detached from like human emotions and relationships and connections. And then once she gets internet famous, it only becomes like more distorted, and there was just never a really good basis for it. So it got really annoying, but other than that, it was really good. Then we're going to get into Kingsbane by Claire Legrand. This is an arc, but by the time I finished it, it had already come out. So this came out on the 21st. Today's the 25th. I finished it yesterday. I had thoughts. I had feelings. This was a buddy read with Heather from Bookables. Heather then started moving, and we both knew that things were going to get crazy for her. So she, I don't think, has finished this yet, but reading this with her was nice because we both shared similar frustrations. One, Claire does not hold your hand. There is no recap at the beginning of this. It reminds you what happened in Furyborn, so then I went online to look what happened in Furyborn just to refresh myself. Those refreshers are more confusing than anything. Okay, so I can't tell you much about this because Furyborn is obviously the first book and Kingsbane is the sequel. I don't want to spoil anything. But in Furyborn, we learn about Raelle and Eliana. And Raelle and Eliana are two queens. One is the Sun Queen, one is the Blood Queen. There is a little bit of confusion at first over who is who. We know pretty clearly now who is who. Each of the women has a circle around her. There's people around her. There's family. There's connections. There are like dynamic friend groups within each of these girls' lives. They take place about 1,200 years apart, but they are connected. I will say, in the first book, I really loved Raelle's storyline a lot. I continued to like Raelle better in this one until the end, where it just fell apart for me. Like Eliana for a lot of different reasons, and in this book, I started to like her more, and I think at this point, I may like her more than Raelle, because at the end of this book, a lot of things happened that felt very, very out of character for the characters they happen to. I will say that I don't think that Raelle's storyline made any damn sense. Audric's storyline at the end, I don't think made any damn sense. The decisions that they made and the things that they said, I wasn't a fan of. And I will also say that there are people in Eliana's life who made decisions that didn't make any damn sense to me at all. And then like plot twisty things that happened that I'm just not here for. So I gave it 3 stars, maybe a 2.5, 2.75. I don't know. I'm struggling because I love Claire Legrand. I think she's amazing. Saul Kill Girls fell flat for me, but I know a ton of people love it. Furyborn, a lot of people either loved or hated it. I loved it. This let me down, and I don't know if it's a case of having so long to work on Furyborn and then this one feeling rushed, or her feeling like she had to produce a book that's this large that quickly. Do I have a signed book coming to me that is personalized? Yes, because Amber very, very kindly went and met her in Texas the night before she flew to me. Like last night, as I'm filming this, last night she went and met Claire and they sent me this.
Okay. Hi Julie, it's Claire. I am so grateful for your readership and I'm glad you love my books, and I'm sad that I won't be able to see you next week in Bensalem, but you rock and I hope you continue to enjoy the Imperium trilogy. Bye!
Which is just the coolest thing in the entire world, and I love, but I don't love this book. I'm gonna continue because I've invested a lot of time. This is a large book. Both of them are large books. In the month of May, I read 12 books, and that equaled 4,164 pages. That includes Origin, Sorcery of Thorns, The Bride Test, Opposition, Everbound, Everneath, The Birds, the Bees, You and Me, Kingsbane, Girls on the Verge, Book Boyfriend, This Is Our Story, and An Absolutely Remarkable Thing. Now let's go over ratings, because I feel like the beginning of my year was 5-star rating galore. I have really struggled to find a 5-star again. The Lux Consequences, which is the bind up, which is how I categorize it on this spreadsheet. So my Goodreads and whatever, I'm trying to make them match. That's a 3-star read, just across the board. The Bride Test was 4-star. Everbound and Everneath, 3 stars. Sorcery of Thorns was 4-star, but probably like more a 4.5. It just wasn't quite a 5. Birds, Bees, and You and Me was also a 4, but like a strong 4. And then I DNF Dreamland because no thank you. Girls on the Verge, I 5-starred. It was not a perfect 5-star for me, but I went up to 5 stars just because I do feel like it's important and I don't want to discourage other people from reading it, but it was like a 4.5 for me. Book Boyfriend was 4, This Is Our Story was 4, An Absolutely Remarkable Thing was 4, Kingsbane was 3. Been a hot minute since I've given out a 5-star that it was like a true 5-star. I am desperately hoping that June changes that and that in June I get a lot more 5-star reads. I'll be reading hopefully a lot more because Smutathon and other readathons. So here's hoping that my summer reading really amps up those 5-star reads. I've had way too many 3-star reads lately. And it's starting to get to me. Like, it's not making me slumpy, but like I want to love a book. Like, I need a Strange Grace. I need something I can throw my weight behind. I need a way to the stars. I need something that I find like life-changing. I've not had that book in a very long time. That is it for this video. That is it for this wrap up. If I have anything else that I finish in the month of March, I will add it in, but I don't think it's gonna happen. So that has been my reading for March. I hope you guys had a great reading month as well. And if you like this one, be sure to give me a big thumbs up, click subscribe, check out all my social media links listed down below, and I will see all of you in my next video. Bye guys.